It's okay to not like video games. Did you know that? You might not know that. I admit I clickbaited you a little bit with the title because I want to counter this point. I'm seeing a lot of media lately that expresses people growing out of video games. I'll see videos with titles like, "This is why gaming isn't fun anymore." Did you know that? Did you know gaming is not fun anymore? Number one, if you're not interested in video games anymore, that's okay. Like, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of younger people who are in a very transitional kind of stage in their life. A lot of people have a lot of free time from being a kid and being a teenager and being in high school. You have a lot of free time. A lot of people play video games. It's gotta be the most common pastime for young people, particularly young men. But by the time you become an adult, you get jobs, you get different responsibilities, and probably less free time. So video games become less of a priority. I think because younger people tend to be the ones on social media the most, this has become a common sentiment amongst a lot of people. And I see a lot of these posts where it's almost like they're trying to convince other people that, like, you need to leave gaming behind. I probably don't need to tell you, but there are absolutely a bunch of people who think that, like, gaming is only for kids and something that you should grow out of.
25 and you're gaming, you gotta grow.
But for a lot of young people, gaming has become a pretty large part of their life, and if you grow out of it, it can be a genuinely painful thing to leave. And you almost have to mourn your past self and the life that once was. If you feel this way and you feel as though you're growing out of video games, again, that's perfectly fine. You can move on with your life and do other things. By all means, go try some different things. And it's really not the end of the world if you go out and then 6 months later you realize, okay, maybe I do miss gaming, and you come back. I mean, it's not a life or death thing. But my biggest problem with this is the rhetoric surrounding it is kind of like video games are bad and video games are boring now, or like video games these days are not good enough to keep the attention span of younger people. And maybe that's true, and sometimes that's just a natural part of growing older or just changing as a person. It's just kind of ironic when people make these statements like, gaming just isn't fun anymore. And it's like, well, a lot of us are enjoying it. So, like, maybe that's a you thing, and that's cool if you decide that you don't like it, but I'm enjoying it. And, like, it's not disrupting my life or anything, so I think we're good. The point being, if you're genuinely enjoying something and someone else isn't, I mean, you don't have to absorb their opinion about it. It doesn't have to be this objective thing where it's like, video games are actually a total waste of time.
Stop playing video games. You can be harsh with guys.
Playing video games, because that's what losers do.
Or, it's just like, it's a hobby, it's a pastime. Like, you can do it. If you enjoy it, then do it. If you don't, then don't. It's that simple. That being said, I do think there are some legitimate arguments for modern attention spans, as well as modern gaming, having some issues with retaining people playing the games, as well as creating, like, satisfying reward systems within the game, making the game feel like it's worth playing, etc. To those creators or those people who are like, video games just don't hit anymore, listen, it's okay if you feel that way. It's probably normal. Your interests are changing, you just want to go into other stuff. But the way you feel about things isn't necessarily the way other people feel about things. Additionally, if you think like all games out right now suck, then either you're playing the wrong games, or again, maybe it is just time to move on to a different interest or hobby. So I guess my main point is, if you're a young person and you're in this rather transitional change between going from your teens to your late 20s, etc., it's perfectly normal and fine for your interests to change. Just don't try and convince everyone else that theirs are too, especially if they're not. The only thing I worry about is, like, I just don't want a lot of clickbaity titles and thumbnails convincing a bunch of people that they actually don't like something that they like. Because I'll fall down the same trap where I'll be on the YouTube homepage looking at all these videos thinking, damn, am I actually enjoying gaming? Or, like, is gaming actually dead, or is gaming dying? So it's just like, you can be influenced by those things, and then the reality is, like, the average CTR on YouTube, which is click-through rate, meaning how many people actually click through on a video that they saw the thumbnail on, And, you know, on average, it's like 1 to 5, maybe 10%. 10% would be very high. 95% of the people who see your clickbaity thumbnail or title making a statement, they don't actually watch the video to see if you were just going to contradict that. Video games is this unique, weird thing where people just feel like morally superior if they don't play video games, or they feel like they're somehow spending their time better. I've had people who are like, oh, I don't, video games are just a waste of time. And it's like, I know for a fact that person watches a ton of Netflix. I know some people who spend all of their free time, like, going out and drinking, and they think that's a superior way to live, and that's fine. But video games are just weird because people kind of pick on it, and it's harder to defend because of the connotations of video games. When in reality, it's a much more active activity to do than something like just watching something or just simply consuming something. At least with video games, you have to participate. Have confidence that it doesn't have to affect you. Anyway, I hope you enjoy some games. I'll see you later, gamers. Keep gaming. Keep gaming.